And good afternoon.
Hey.
Hey, this is Nora Adler.
And Jesse Stolo.
And you have tuned into Entertaining Business. You know it's Tuesday
it's
when
that
we're
time
on.
Of day again.
It's that time of day. I tell you, we have beautiful weather today. I'm so happy.
It was really cold today.
It was
this
beautiful.
Morning. I thought it was going to be a little warm. It was like 86 degrees yesterday, and today it's much cooler than that, and I don't know that I am appreciating all of these changes in the weather.
Well, I thought it was going to rain. I was like, please rain. But it didn't rain. But let me tell you, it's just gorgeous. We are so lucky here in South Florida. We have one of the most beautiful weather. Everyone else is like knee-deep to a grasshopper.
Good for them.
Snow and this and that. But we're over here enjoying, although it is crisp, and that's sometimes a bit chilly. It's
a chilly 70 degrees, everybody.
Oh, I mean, it's just beautiful, and I do thank goodness that we're here.
We were out over the weekend, and we were in Midtown, and we were getting some dinner, and there was a woman that had
a fur coat,
like a full fur coat on,
and boots and leather. And
she did, yeah, she was all dressed up,
and
I was amazed. It was like 67 degrees outside.
Why? Well, they should really go to Central Florida and experience when it goes down to like 20 degrees. Then you can really say, ooh, it's cold. But if not, it's just wonderful weather. Let's get to what we're doing here. I mean, you know, we've next week. I want to say, everyone, by the way, next week is Valentine's Day. So, woohoo! Get ready for that one.
Ooh, let me write that down.
Yes. Let's start with that because then we're going to get into some really. We're going to get into a very wonderful conversation.
Do you already have Valentine's Day plans, or no?
Heck no, I don't do that. No. Let it happen. Let it happen. It's like that
Al
first
date. Is Al going to do anything?
I don't know yet. I mean, we'll find out next week. But it's like that first date. Just let it happen, baby.
One time I forgot.
And I'm
sure.
A
card.
Uh-huh.
Forgot a card for Valentine's. Just a card.
Just do the card. If you do nothing else, please have the card.
So we're giving you an advance notice.
A heads up,
right?
Please.
We have 11 days before Valentine's Day.
It's like Christmas.
If you're hearing our show, you have no excuse.
Exactly. So we have this absolutely fantastic show planned right now.
Do we?
We have two wonderful, wonderful guests. One of them, well, they both are actually individuals that I have known for quite some time, and so have you.
Yeah. And
so we are very proud to have our guests here and share them and their information. Before all of that, though, we do want to just put in the heads up. There is a wonderful what is it? It's a great.
I don't know where you're going with it. Normally, I could actually have.
I know you.
The event that we're talking about.
It's a dinner. It's a dinner, correct? It's going to be this wonderful foundation.
So our guests are talking about this event.
Not just that, but I want to just promote this right now so that everybody knows.
February 5th.
February 5th.
6 to 9 p.m.
6 to 9 p.m. at the District Miami.
Yep. Apparently, we have to include the word Miami.
Exactly. We're promoting the. It's called Support the Most Promising Cure for Cancer. It is part of the Lampidis Cancer Foundation. It is their annual fundraiser. And with that,
go on.
I would like to introduce Dr. Ted Lampidis.
Hello.
Hi, Nora. No, it's Nora. I'm in the wrong place. Wait a second. Let me. I'm still thinking hospital, and there's a very good colleague of mine, and her name is Nira. So it's close to Nora. But Jesse, I won't mistake that, Jesse.
You better not.
Hi, Jesse.
Named after the song, Jesse's Girl.
No, different song.
Different song?
I was not named after Jesse's Girl. I was named after the Janis Ian song, Jesse.
Oh.
So it was named after a song, but a different version of it.
Okay, well, I wasn't named after a song. I was named after a nickname.
My sister was also named after Allison Viola Costello.
Oh, how beautiful. But we won't talk about that now. We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
Welcome.
We need a round of applause.
Yes.
Soundboard.
No. What for what?
We'll add it in post.
No.
We are so proud to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
And I want you to introduce your co-host, please.
Yes, this is Mark Phillips. He's started with us, I guess, from the beginning when the foundation was first inaugurated. And Mark has been instrumental in, I would say, the financial and business end in trying to promote the foundation. and I must say right from the beginning that all the people who are involved, Mark included of course, are all volunteers. And that's what sort of sets us apart a bit from others that, and I don't want to get negative today, it's such a positive day being here, but nevertheless, the many foundations, the little bit I've learned about it, the people that are running them are actually paid very well for what they do, and unfortunately that sometimes goes a little bit further than what the cause is really about. But we won't get into that part, but just to say that everybody working in the foundation, the Lampidis Foundation, they're all volunteers. And the reason they are is because they believe in the cause.
Exactly. And Mark, you and I have known each other for quite some time also, and you are, what's your official title?
I'm the commercial director.
Commercial director. So we have Mark Phillips and
the most distinctive voice in the foundation.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, we have more than one Englishman, actually.
Oh, no. This is terrible
Oh,
news.
no. You're taking over. No. How wonderful. So it gives that distinction to the foundation when you speak.
It does sound very inviting.
It does. Very inviting. I love that.
Wow.
And you are with, just to touch a little bit on you, you are with a company called WorldPay.
Yeah, WorldPay, we're a very large payment processing company globally. We support the foundation wholly. We, all our accounts that come through, we, donate a portion of our proceeds back to the foundation so that they can continue their research and the great work they're doing.
This is, I mean, I remember when all of this started, and I think that this is just such a wonderful to hear. The proceeds are going to. This is such a wonderful statement.
Yeah, it's very important to us that 100% of the proceeds that we give to them, it goes all to research, and that's, we're on board with that.
And that's something that whomever listens to this program and they are interested in donating to the foundation, understand that the proceeds go 100% to the foundation and the research and everything that's necessary, which is what we're touching on.
Can I back up for a second?
Yes, of course.
Can I ask our guests today to take a few minutes and actually explain the Lampidis Cancer Foundation?
Absolutely.
Right, because I know that a lot, like Nora, you've known our guests for a little bit, and you have an understanding of what the foundation is. Doctor, can you please explain a little bit about your foundation? What is your foundation doing? What is the mission of your organization?
Well, we first started with the simple idea that cancer is a disease that we all are affected by, and one way or another, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member, whether it's us ourselves. And just because I've been working in this area for about 32 years, about 15 years ago, I fell upon something that I thought was so, let's say, basic that it should have been already done. And when I brought it to the head of the cancer center, he said, Ted, he said, this is so simple, it's elegant in its simplicity, why didn't I think of it? And this was the head of our cancer center at that time. And based on that simple idea, which I'll explain a little bit about, we've gone now to expand it to what I was talking to Nora about earlier. Sometimes you have an idea and then you work on it and then you say, well, it's not that interesting, or I can't do it, or else you say, this is really interesting and I'm going to keep trying and working on it. And this idea started, as I said, around 15 years ago and has just continued to expand. So our focus is still based on cancer and how we can best use this drug. And the drug is called 2-deoxyglucose. The drug is mimicking glucose, which in the recent review article that we just published, we talk about, in the beginning of the article, we talk about, because the name of the article is Wonders of 2-deoxyglucose. And I picked that particular title to explain to people who didn't know about it why we were so dedicated to using this molecule. And one of the thoughts was, and the main thought basically, is that a glucose, out of all the possible combinations and permutations of chemicals that could be put together, so oxygen can be put together with hydrogen and nitrogen, and then you have all the molecules that can go together, all these atoms, you could have 50, 100, 200. But out of all the possibilities, glucose was selected by nature or God or whoever created why we're here, selected this particular molecule, glucose, not only as a vital energy source, but also as the building block for a cell to go from 1 to 2. So in other words, you can't...
It's the energy that helps divide a cell.
Well, it's that, besides the energy, it's also the molecule, the composition. So if you took...
Okay,
If you took...
stuff.
if
The
you took...
building block.
Stuff of the cell.
If you broke it down and
Right.
looked at the molecules of carbon, the atoms, and you followed where they went into the DNA and RNA necessary to replicate a cell. So you can't divide without glucose.
Without glucose.
Out of all the
So you've
molecules.
identified this molecule as something that's very integral with the cell process.
Well,
the cell
this,
reproduction process.
But we haven't identified. It's been identified for many, many years.
Here's the science, everybody. Here's the
Well, science is like any other profession, but I think even more so, it depends on all the little pieces that have been put together before. So
right, you got to sort through the puzzle, basically.
Well, yeah, but all these pieces have to be there. We could never get to the moon without knowing all the physical laws and electronic laws that were allowing us to get there.
No, I understand.
So the same thing in biology, we really depend on what's gone on before. And I would consider myself lucky that I've actually seen something that's gone into the clinic.
So this discovery that you had, how does that apply to individuals that are affected with cancer?
Well, okay, so the way we started was the idea was that chemotherapy can take care of the dividing cells, but doesn't select so well between the dividing cells that are normal and the dividing cells that are cancer. That's why people, when you see them treated with chemotherapy, they lose their hair. Why? Because the hair is rapidly dividing. We don't care so much about that because, first of all, it'll grow back. Second of all, some people look better without hair. So we leave it at that. But
I'm nervous that I have a weird-shaped head if I were to lose all my hair.
Okay, but we do worry about the bone marrow where all the blood cells are made. And that's the acute dose-limiting toxicity of all chemotherapy, because chemotherapy attacks the dividing machinery that allows cells to divide.
Gotcha.
Dividing machinery of
To
cells.
slow it down so that the cancerous cells can't reproduce as quickly. Is that basically the same?
Well, to actually target and kill them, because as the drug gets to the cancer cells, it also gets to the normal cells. Luckily, most of the tissues in our body are not actively dividing.
Okay.
So here's the problem, and this is how we started. What happens to those cells that are slow dividing inside of a cell, inside of every tumor, every solid tumor? And Mark, next to me when I explained it, and he doesn't have the same scientific background as I do, but nevertheless he said, oh, it's like an egg. You're talking about a tumor like an egg.
Mm-hmm.
And the white part of the egg are the dividing cells, and the yolk are the slow dividing cells. They're not dividing very quickly at all. Well, that's a very good analogy. So the yolk part is the part that chemotherapy can't attack because it's only attacking rapidly dividing cells. And that yolk part then will give rise to more of those white cells that are dividing once you kill the white cells, so you'll never really completely get rid of the tumor.
Okay.
Not only that, those yolk cells will also give rise to metastases. They've looked at that. So now we'll get back to the reality of cancer. And the reality of cancer is not an egg, but those yolk cells are cells that are in a hypoxic area, meaning low oxygen. And this is where our technology came in, and we came up with a simple idea. When cells are under low oxygen, they can only use one energy source, and that energy source is glucose. That goes back 1 billion years ago when there was no oxygen in our atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And under those conditions, there were little tiny microbes living on a process called glycolysis, coming from the Greek glyko meaning sweet, lysis meaning breakdown. And so these microbes that were surviving with no oxygen in the atmosphere were surviving on glucose because they could only use that energy source. We, in the presence of oxygen, human beings and animals use 3 energy sources: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So, like the Atkins diet, if you lower your carbohydrates, you can always use fats and proteins as long as you have oxygen. That was the key idea. And so we applied that then and said, we can go after those slow dividing cells inside of the tumor, the yolk, as we talked about, the egg. We can go and kill those cells selectively that chemo can't by what? By giving them a molecule called 2-deoxyglucose that would shrink down the cell or starve it to death because that cell can't use oxygen. In other words, we're targeting a cell that's not getting oxygen, and we're opening the window of chemotherapy by going after that cell. Well, that was the simple idea. That idea now has gone all the way to a clinical trial. We tried it first in...
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And you know that tape.
So the whole, the purpose basically of this event that's coming up on Wednesday and the foundation, you're raising funds to perform clinical trials.
Right, exactly.
And to go further.
Yeah,
Take it further.
Well, to learn how best, because from the idea is bench to clinic, which we did, and then back to bench, almost like baseball, double play,
Right.
with the thinking that now we learned something from the clinic,
Yes.
and now we want to go back into the lab and try to exploit that for
Okay.
better treatment.
Huh.
But the interesting thing about his research is that
I'm
it
getting
can
goosebumps.
that it cannot only it not only can be applied, and this is something that Ted was telling Dr. Lampidis was telling me, not just
You can call him
apply
Ted.
it
Yeah,
to
thank you.
to the cancer, but also to the treatment of other diseases, which is something that we were discussing. This is something that is going to just exponentially continue beyond your lifetime, my lifetime, to be applied to the treatment of other diseases that are
Well,
that are-
I think because we are, let's say, mimicking, because 2-deoxyglucose is almost exactly like glucose, except just from the name. On the 2-carbon, not to get too technical, on the 2-carbon, we don't have an oxygen there. Glucose has. So 2-deoxyglucose. So we're mimicking this compound that I mentioned, glucose, that has been selected by nature to be so important. So it's not surprising that it would have such profound effects in cancer, as well as aging, as well as viral infections. Now even they're looking at it in epilepsy. So I would think beyond my lifetime, there will be lots of things that will happen that will be very helpful to society through this compound, 2-deoxyglucose.
And the interesting thing about this is it's something that it exists. This is not anything that any particular company can turn around and say, I discovered this.
Well,
It's something-
that's good and bad. That's what slowed it down. Because if this was compositionally controlled, as they say in the industry, then I'm sure companies would have jumped at this because they could see how widespread and how important it is. But you know what? Science will never be held back. We know that. The realities, truths always come out. So I think no matter what happens, this will eventually find its way.
Your first paper, which is the paper that I read, I love the title. Can you tell our listeners the title of your very first paper? Starve a tumor.
Feed a fever, starve a tumor. Well, that was actually an article that was written about, in lay terms, to explain what I was doing. And so with that, as I was trying to get to before, that's exactly what we're doing. We're starving a tumor that requires glucose. It can't use fats or proteins, much like the Atkins diet. When you lower carbohydrates, you can use fats and proteins, but this can't because it doesn't have oxygen. So the simplicity of it is because it doesn't have oxygen, it's very sensitive to inhibitors of glucose, and that's what we're using. We're using an inhibitor. Simple as that.
This is just incredible research of what you've done and those that came before you.
So I want to know why he's on our show and not on every other show that exists.
Well, he's on our show, which is an important show, and guess what? Through this show, we're going to get you on other shows.
All right,
Trust
good.
me, you're going to be out
Good.
there.
I want more people to know
Beating
about this.
on the door. Did you hear that? You hear
Very
that,
important.
Mark?
Yeah, we
We're going
would
to
love
be
to
beating
see
on the door.
any help that we
Mark
can get.
sounds like
We are
popcorn
very
was
pleased
dead.
to accept it.
Absolutely. So we have, again, so now we're going to come full circle, and we're going to talk about just the couple of minutes that we have. We are going to do, we want to reiterate that there's an event this February 5th.
I have it here.
Yes,
February 5th at the
Thursday.
District Miami is the annual fundraiser for your foundation. It's from 6 to 9 p.m. in the Design District area, the District Miami. We're going to have everything on our Facebook page.
Yeah, but
correct?
give them, if people want to check out how to go to this event, where should they go?
Yeah, how can they reserve or book a seat?
Mark?
They can contact myself. Can I give out phone
Sure,
numbers on the
absolutely.
air? Yeah, you can contact me at 305-962-3828. Again, 305-962-3828. Or you can email me at mark.phillips, that's PHILLIPS, @worldpay.us.
We're going to be putting
It's marked with a K, right?
Yes.
We're going to be putting all this information on our Facebook. And there's one thing we're going to do. We're going to play a song because this is something most people don't know about Dr. Lampidis. He's also a musician and a writer, and he is just a great human being, but a great artist. on top of being a scientist and this just fantastic person, we're going to play the song that has become, and he's like turning his face like, no, we're going to play the song that you wrote that is the theme of the...
Wait, your foundation is a theme song?
Yes.
We do.
I want a
Ready?
theme song.
We're
No.
very
Well,
proud.
let me say, the title is Yes We Can, but it's before Obama.
Okay.
I wrote it.
Good.
No, I wrote it before he used it, and I was
Oh.
amazed that he's using the same title.
We have
of
people
the
you
song.
can speak to about that.
Yes, we do
Okay.
have a lawyer that can help
Property
you with that.
infringement.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
we're going to go ahead and we're going to play the song. Ted, thank you so much.
Thank you
Dr.
for being
Lampidis.
here.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
You're going to be back, and we're going to put you on the front page of everything.
And I have this mole in the back. Maybe you can
No,
check
he
that
can't
out
help
later.
you with
I'm not a doctor.
Okay.
So he's a PhD. And Mark,
Don't
thank you
sue
so
me.
much.
Thank you very much.
Everyone,
Don't
this
put
is
me on
Dora
a commission.
Adler.
And Jesse Stolo.
Please enjoy the music. Yes, we can.